Welcome back for part 2 of our saga on replacing the front wheel bearing on a 2004 Infiniti G35X. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, because I don't want to really put this on the press and get this out, and most people probably are not going to have a press at home, what I'm going to do instead is beat this out. So what I'm talking about is the wheel and hub assembly. That's got to actually come out of here. The other thing I've done is I've replaced the 4 bolts here with just some temporary bolts that I can beat on. These are 45 millimeters long. So the size is 12 millimeters by 1.25 thread pitch. And I would probably go with something like maybe even a 60 millimeter length, so that you have something for your socket to grab onto here. You want to use a short socket also. And you also want to use an extension you don't care about. This is one of my extras and it's pretty beaten up there. So I'm going to thread these all the way in and then kind of back them out so I have enough height here to fit my socket over and be able to hit on this in a crisscross pattern here. Alright, so I have a 3-pound sledgehammer here. You can see it already starting to move there. It actually did come out already. That's pretty fast. The last one I did took a lot longer than this one. Okay, so the other thing you want to make sure you do is you want to look at the orientation of this plate here. And so it was like this. You can kind of see that there. This opening is on the bottom, and this part of the shield's on the right hand side where the tie rod goes. So you may want to write on here in, and then the other side is out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set up the press here for removing the bearing off the hub. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to use this large bearing separator tool. Now, you can use a jaw puller, a 2-jaw puller with this tool. This is what it looks like here. What's going to happen, as you'll see, is it'll pull the bearing off, but it's going to leave the race on there. But we're not going to worry about that right now. So this is what the setup looks like here. And you can use other tools. I know O'Reilly's has a press kit. I think it was 67213, I believe is what it was. It was by EverTough. So you can try something like that if you want to do it at home without a press. But I'm not sure that's going to work though. So anyway, I've got this set up on a couple blocks of wood. I don't have the steel plates for this table. And I just went to Lowe's and got a couple plates of steel here. These are about a 1/4 inch thick. Alright, so in order to press this out, I'm going to use some of these bearing race and seal driver set kit parts. I got this at AutoZone. I just borrowed it for a while. It's 27119 OEM. So I'm going to use driver number 1, the first one here. It's going to go on like that. We want to press out the center, which is where the hub is, right here. It's going to sit like that. And to protect this, I'm actually going to put a socket on top. This is a 24 millimeter socket. And I'm probably going to need one of these also. On top of that, like that. Okay. Alright, looks like we're all set up here. So we're going to go ahead and press out this hub from the bearing. And there it went. Okay, so here's our setup to get the race off. So what I've done is basically move the jaws in a little closer and right under the lip here. What may happen is this ring may come off first, but I think we're going to be able to get both off at the same time. So we got the ring here, and we've also got the race here. And what you want to do is make sure it's not too tight, so that it's not grabbing onto the hub. So that should be okay right there. Alright, so we're all set up. Let's go ahead and get this out of here. Alright, so we've got the race off the hub. I just want to check the hub to make sure it's in good shape. It seems like it's fine. There's no scoring anywhere or anything like that. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, just wipe it down, and then go from there. Alright, so here's our bearing. I'm going to use Timken 50013. So what I've seen is that these and OEM are the best bearings you can get for this car here. So I didn't want to go out and cheap out on something that's going to fail prematurely. That's what it looks like there. It's got this little shield on it here. That's the other side. So how this is going to work, this is going to go on like this. Like that. I just want to get this centered. I'm going to press this all the way on. So you don't really want to beat on this at all. If you try to use any sort of method like a hammer, you're going to damage this bearing. I would not do that. Definitely, if you can, take it to a machine shop if you don't have a press at home. Alright, so this is my setup to press the bearing onto the hub. And so what I'm using here is the 5th item in here. This is 27119-F. You see that set up there. It's right on top of the bearing. And I'm using it inverted because I don't want to be pressing on the shield here at all. I only want to press on the center of the bearing. Okay, and then I've also got the hub sitting on a 36mm socket. Get this nice and centered here. Alright, here we go. I'm going to make sure also that the bearing is going straight onto the hub too. I want to watch that. Looks like it's a little crooked there. So one thing you may want to do is just kind of tap on this with like a hammer, just to kind of set this in place, and then press it all the way on. Okay, looks like we're just about bottomed out there. I'm going to go ahead and press it a little bit more. That should do it there. And there you go. It's on there. Alright, before I put the hub assembly in, I'm going to make sure I clean this up a little bit so I can slide it in pretty easily. So I have a Dremel with a little flap disc on it. I'm also wearing a dust mask because it kicks up a lot of dust doing this. Alright, so at this point I'm going to put some anti-seize right in here, just so the bearing, just in case I have to take that out later, which I'm hoping I don't anytime soon. I'm not going to put too much in there, just enough to coat it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the bearing in here, and just remember the orientation of this shield here. Make sure you line up all the holes in there too. Okay, so I'm just going to snug this up by hand first, and then I'll grab the torque wrench here. Okay, so the torque spec is 58 to 72 foot-pounds. Got my torque wrench set up here. I've got a short extension on there. And I'm going to set this for 72. Alright, so that's done.